The college football experience week 2 DFS show for Friday and Saturday episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. The NFL kicks off this week, and get ready for the season with 32 NFL team previews from the Sports Gambling Podcast. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NFL previews today. And we're also brought to you by the Free Roll Football Contest. Yes, it is back and better than ever. $5,000 is up for grabs in our NFL contest and $1,500 in our brand new college football contest. Sign up exclusively in our Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. That's sportsgamblingpodcast/Discord.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience week 2 DFS show. My name is Kobe Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
There you go.
How you doing, folks? I am still in Las Vegas. We are not at the SGPN studios, so hopefully everything's sounding all right. I am joined by my co-host, the DFS god himself. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving farmer, Hernan Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, man? How we feeling this morning? Kind of early out there for you.
Yeah, and when I flew out to Vegas, the DFS slate for college football wasn't out yet. So I was disappointed because you cannot in the state of Nevada play DFS, which so I am going to somehow finagle away, perhaps get my wife to enter in a lineup. But either way, here we are, week 2 college football.
Have her enter her own lineup too and watch her win.
Yeah. It's like the NCAA tournament pools.
Right.
It's like our friend's mom will win over us. We watched every game that season.
Well, so before we talk about week 2, how was your week 1 in general?
Well, from a picks point of view, great. But from a DFS point of view, no. Malik Cunningham obviously struggled at Syracuse way more than I think anybody foresaw. So I struggled there. And, I still haven't got a good feel on the DFS front the first 2 weeks of the season.
Well, I did a little bit better. Not really Saturday, but Friday night, I took home the crown in our SGPN listener contest. Kind of dominated too. I put up 163 fantasy points. Second place was J321847 with 148 points. And speaking about this contest, our side bet, I cashed another. I think that made it 3-0 me. That was Devin Neal, the Kansas running back, putting up 27.8 points versus your guy, Jalen Daniels, the Kansas quarterback, who really didn't need to do much against Tennessee Tech. He had a solid day, just under 20 points. But I took home that one. And then moving along to the Saturday contest, I mean, we should at least give a shout out to the folks who won. If I can pull that up quickly, because I did not. DTF 0402 took home the crown. He had a monster day. He just barely edged out our guy, Alan Cooley, who finished in second place and in the money. And then I don't think we had a side bet on the main slate. I think our side bet was the night slate.
Well, I mean, wait, but what was our night slate one then?
So first off, Jamie, our guy Jamie HOV, he
He's
won
a
the night
legend.
slate. Yeah,
That's
he is a
fucking
legend.
Yeah.
Excellent DFS player. But then Alan Cooley, second place again. So always a bridesmaid, never a bride, but still he cashed 2 straight contests. A nice weekend by Alan Cooley. So the night slate, the side bet was Jackson Smith Najiba on my end and Travion Henderson on your end. Do you want to count that as a win? I mean, you need one. Smith Najiba got hurt in the first half.
You gotta know who's weak. All right.
It's not like Travion Henderson had a very good day. 91 rushing yards, no catches, no touchdowns. Technically, you won because my guy got hurt. So it's up to you if you want to chalk that up as a victory.
No, I don't want any sympathy plays, but at the same time, Notre Dame secondary did a great job against Ohio State's wide receivers, and Ohio State leaned on the run.
True.
So I don't know that he would have gotten that had he played.
I feel pretty good. He would have cleared 9 points if he played the whole game. We'll never know.
Touchdown, I think.
We'll never know, buddy.
That's a little bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
A little bit of a gamble because they didn't commit to passing that much.
True. They didn't really need to because the Notre Dame offense couldn't do much either. So it was definitely they leaned on the run more. Hey, maybe you would have won, but like I said, we'll never know. So take a half point for that.
Wipe the slates.
Wipe it up.
All right, let's go. Unfortunately, college football didn't give us a Thursday slate, which bothers me some, but I mean, hey, Friday, here we go. We got 2 games going on Friday. And we got the very golden UCF Knights hosting the Louisville Cardinals. I'm still perplexed at Louisville, and that seat is incredibly hot, I think, for Scott Satterfield. If he loses a close game to Syracuse, I think maybe the seat's still hot, but like you can say, oh, okay, but they got their ass kicked. They had
31-7, I think the final score was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and they head to the moon bounce where UCF looked pretty good. I know it was an FCS team, but and then we have the night game of Boise State coming off of a bad performance in Corvallis, heading to Albuquerque, New Mexico to take on the Lobos, who shockingly destroyed Maine. I thought that would be I don't know. I thought I took New Mexico to cover it, but I thought it would be something like 21-7 or something. I did not foresee a 42-0 shellacking. So let's hop into it.
And quick thing, over under in Louisville, UCF is 61.5. Over under in Boise, New Mexico, sitting at a very low 44. Obviously, it makes sense to get a couple more players in that first game. And really, the one team here that you might want to avoid completely is New Mexico. I know I did. I don't know about you, but any Lobos on your squad?
There is 0 Lobos on my squad.
That'll probably be a common theme with most DFSers, which, hey, maybe that means you want to take a stab at somebody, but I certainly didn't. Okay, I got 2 quarterbacks, man. How about you?
1. Oh, no. I'm sorry. On this slate, too.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Very rare that Pick Dundee only has 1 quarterback, but you got to start with John Rice Plumlee, right?
Yeah, I was considering only going 1 on this one. I actually think I have 2 on the other slate, too. But, yeah, I was considering going 1 on just because you have some uncertainties. But yes, I do have John Rice Plumlee, $8,900. There's a reason why we locked up UCF, to hit the win total over, and we locked up UCF to win this particular game. Go listen to our picks podcast. So, yeah, I mean, John Rice Plumlee, I think, is going to be fantastic in this offense, and I think he's only going to get better as the season prolongs.
Yeah, he's $600 more expensive than Malik Cunningham. He's at home. His team is favored. UCF should score more points. I know Malik Cunningham has been our guy for a long time, and we both rostered him last week and got burned badly. Maybe it's a big bounce back game for Cunningham, but I went John Rice Plumlee instead.
Yeah, and if memory serves me correct, I believe Malik Cunningham is from the state of Florida. If memory serves me correct, I could be wrong, but I thought he was from Florida.
Probably a good guess.
Yeah. So then so we both got Plumlee. Now this is where it gets interesting to me. I thought so. We have you can go with Malik Cunningham as a second QB. You can go with Miles Kendrick, the Kansas transfer, who was 14 of 17, but didn't throw for a ton of yards and also had
for New Mexico. Yeah,
he also had as many interceptions as touchdowns. So it gets a little dicey here.
Bachmeier, Taylor Green.
Yeah, and so if you watch the Boise Oregon State game, Bachmeier did not look good. He early on in that game threw 2 picks, and Taylor Green came in. Now Taylor Green threw a pick too, and certainly wasn't lighting up from a passing attack point of view. Yes, he completed a better percent than Bachmeier, but still only 5 yards of completion, 0 touchdowns. But he did have 102 yards rushing, including a 74-yard run, 2 touchdowns as well. So it makes you think, do we have perhaps a little bit of a controversy here? I'm still reluctant to believe that a little bit because they transitioned to the air raid. And I think their OC knows, and this is not a shot against Taylor Green, but Bachmeier has a better ability to stretch the field. Bachmeier has like an NFL arm. And I think with him being the senior, I mean, Bachmeier could have transferred out, could have went pro, and he came back. I think they're going to give it to Bachmeier again in Albuquerque, but it is an interesting play. So I went with Bachmeier at plus 6K.
I actually went Taylor Green. I would imagine both quarterbacks get some play, especially if it's on the blowout side, which it potentially could be. I don't know. I think they might be seeing youth movement here. I think with Bachmeier, he's capped his potential. He is who he is. Usually he's solid. A little bit disappointing because when he came in as a freshman, was that the Florida State game?
Yeah.
When he was just lighting them up, and you're like, damn, who does Boise have here? But a lot of injuries, some inconsistent play, especially last week didn't look good. They might lean towards the younger guy who has maybe more upside.
I'll say, if they do that, though, I would not be surprised if Hank Bachmeier transferred out.
Yeah.
So it is a gamble. It is a gamble as the season's just starting. Yeah, I think it's more likely that both play or just Bachmeier plays.
For me, I mean, unless we get some clarity before kick, which I'm assuming Avalos is probably going to keep this pretty, close to the vest. I took a gamble on Taylor Green at only 4.5K because if he gets in, he could be a real difference maker. If he doesn't, I could be behind the 8 ball from the get go. But if he plays at only 4.5K, I'm getting a quarterback with good running ability. I think he's a home run. It's a gamble though. If you don't have the stomach for it,
I think it's a gamble on many levels. Like, I get it. He played good in Corvallis. He's a freshman. He's talented. I think the future is bright for Taylor Green. I really believe that. But
you could just go Rice Plumlee and
Malik Cunningham.
Also Lamar Jackson. But UCF returned almost everybody on their entire defense. They've returned their entire secondary, and I think they were top 5, only allowing like 11 or 12 passing touchdowns on the season last year. So not the best matchup. If you want to spend up and take both those quarterbacks, might not be a bad idea if you think Cunningham can bounce back. But I went with a much, much cheaper option in Taylor Green for now, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I just think if you're designing this offense to be air raid, which is what they've done the past 2 years, and I think that's been some of Bachmeier's struggles, was Harsin leaving that pro-style system and going to the air raid where it just hasn't clicked yet. And then I do think it's you better be. I think they almost have to start Bachmeier because of that. Because I think if not, he's going to transfer out. And if you transfer out, you're starting a freshman quarterback the rest of the season, which you're probably not going to win the Mountain West starting a freshman quarterback in that conference.
True.
They only rushed, besides Taylor Green last week, they only rushed for 16 yards. So that's why I think they have to go all the way in on the air raid if they're going to do this.
Yeah, you can't be going back and forth between the two. I get that point. Who's your running backs? 3 of them?
Running backs, I did go with I have 3 of them, and I took a shot on Evans, the Tennessee transfer for Louisville, just because I know that he wasn't super impressive in the Tennessee game. So, but Tyon Evans he was very good at Tennessee. Like
in the Syracuse game, you meant to say.
What did I say?
You said in the Tennessee game.
Oh yeah, the Syracuse game. Just 13 for 89. He did have a score. He did have a 36-yard run.
That's not bad either. That's not shabby. I mean, if he got more touches, if the whole offense was going to do better, then he would have produced more too.
Yeah, they got to commit to him more. Why are you only giving him 13 rushes? He's getting 7 yards of carry. What are you doing, Scott Satterfield?
He's clearly the RB1. The dude is very talented. He had a good year at Tennessee last year. I rostered him as well.
Well, my second running back, I ended up having the money to just load up on the UCF backs. I went with because Boise doesn't commit to the run. I don't want anyone on New Mexico State's offense, or New Mexico, not New Mexico State. So I went with I got Isaiah Bowser and Johnny Richardson. Both got burned. Johnny Richardson got 12 yards of carry, only 5 carries, but you could see the explosiveness in Johnny Richardson. But I went with also the mainstay, Isaiah Bowser, the Northwestern transfer. So
that's an interesting approach. I mean, I think the matchup is right. Louisville never been good against the run. They got gashed by Sean Tucker in Syracuse last week. I went with Bowser. I did not go. He's the 1A to the 1B. I think you have to roster at least one of the guys. But rostering 2 makes some sense, and it might differentiate your lineup some too. So we shared 2 of the same running backs. But yeah, I mean, anything left to say about the UCF running backs?
No, I just think it's at home, and I think they'll have success. I wouldn't even be surprised if the third running back had success, because he got a little burned too against South Carolina State. But yeah, I mean, look, I Louisville's defense, I don't think will be fixed. I think the energy going on in this stadium favors UCF greatly. That's why I did lock up UCF -5, as I don't see a scenario where Louisville wins this game in Orlando. So those are my running backs.
I have one more, and I'm taking to Boise, and it's almost similar to the running back situation. You have the veteran who's been around a while, George Holani, and you got a newer, younger kid named Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty, what I like about him last week in a game that the Boise offense struggled, he caught 6 balls for 52 yards. Again, I think he's probably more talented than Holani, because with Holani, you kind of, same thing I said about Bachmeier. You kind of know he's solid, he's dependable, maybe lacks upside, not really a home run threat. So I rostered Jeanty. I think at 4.9K, I think the price is right. If he catches balls out of the backfield, maybe we'll start to see him being used more than Holani, even though Holani started the game against Oregon State. So again, it's a bit of a gamble, but I like gambling on these Boise State Broncos in a game where they could be up big.
You know what would really kill it for you, I think, is if Taylor Green starts, I could totally see him checking down a lot, because that's another angle to this. Is Taylor Green, this would be his first start of his career, and going up against Rocky Long defense, I would expect a lot of checkdowns.
Yeah.
So I think with Bachmeier, I think he'll stretch the field more. So that will be something to monitor. All right, for wide receivers. Actually, before I get to wide receivers, let me tell you folks out there that the college football experience is brought to you by WinBet. Bet $100 at WinBet and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WinBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by the Free Roll Football Contest. Yes, their contests are both here for college and pro. College football, we're giving away $1,500. All right, $1,500. NFL contest, only $5,000 and a 2-night stay at the Wynn in Las Vegas, which I'm currently at. And let me tell you, the rooms are fantastic. The people are fantastic. The sports book's fantastic. All right, sign up exclusively in our Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We're also brought to you by the Elias Sports Bureau. Yes, football fans, the NFL season's finally here, and as week 1 kicks off and you get ready to place your bets or lock in your fantasy teams, I want you to know that you got to check out the Elias Game Plan app, the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, NBA, MLB. It's got everything under the sun to give you a competitive advantage, all right? It's the only sports app from the most trusted name in sports stats, which is the Elias Sports Bureau, official statisticians of U.S. pro sports leagues, including the NFL. And their app lets you have access to team and player stats, head-to-head comparisons, Elias key insights from their renowned research team. This app really is a one-stop source for you. They got player news, league-validated player stats, team records, expert game analysis for betting, fantasy lineups for each week. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic, people. So the NFL season's here, so do not wait. Download the Elias Game Plan app today. And right now, I have a special offer. When you subscribe, you get a 14-day free trial off of your monthly subscription plan, but only if you use my promo code of SGPN. Find Elias Game Plan sports betting in the App Store or Google Play Store today. Once again, use my promo code SGPN, people, and let it ride. All right. We transition into wide receivers. I was all over the place here at wide receivers. I think this is the area I'm gambling heaviest.
Okay.
I went with a couple wide receivers from Boise.
Okay.
I think they're going to be able to get it back on track. And, it's interesting. Rocky Long teams are normally fantastic against the run, right? And I do think they'll have a little bit. Well, first off, I just think Boise's talent level is so much higher than New Mexico's. And as Rocky Long continues to build up that defense, which I do think is already better than what it was and will continue to get better.
Yep.
I think the play is the way to really attack a Rocky Long defense is air raid. So there is that in Boise State's favor. Stephon Cobbs is my guy at 5,300. He's not my highest priced receiver, but he is my highest priced receiver on Boise, if that makes sense, because I said I went with a couple Boise guys.
Makes sense. He's their main dog. He's their top dog. He caught 6 for 52 last week. Everything you just said, the matchup is right for that Boise State offense to get rolling. I did not roster any Boise State Bronco receivers, though. So what I did, you doubled down on the UCF running backs. I doubled down on the UCF pass catchers. I got both Javon Baker and our guy, the possession guy, Ryan O'Keefe. You got the home run threat. You got the over the middle guy. UCF offense is going to roll. These two guys are the main pass catchers. Maybe throw in that Florida transfer tight end Gamble, who I did not roster, but I got the two top dogs as far as the UCF Knights pass catchers.
Yeah, I have Javon Baker as well. So we do have that.
Higher upside than O'Keefe, but O'Keefe could have 10 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown or something.
Yeah. Wait, so you just went through all your receivers right there?
No, I got one more.
Okay, because I have one more as well.
Who you got?
I went with a guy named Billy Bowens from Boise State at 4,700. He just had 2 catches last week, but the air raid, I think they're going to – I actually expect this game to be a blowout. And Billy Bowens is a senior, so I think they're going to give him a little burn. Play the veterans a little bit, if you know what I mean. But look, he's the wide receiver number 3 on this team. I know he only got 2 catches last week, but last week was a disaster. So I'm gonna have a little faith in Bachmeier starting, stretching the field, and chance for Billy Bowens to get some points here at 4,700.
I don't know, man. I think we might have our first side bet or our only side bet of the Friday night slate, because I took Louisville's tight end Marshawn Ford for an even 3K. If you remember Ford, we talked about him last year a little bit. First off, he led all of Louisville in catches last year. Last year, he had 49 catches for 550 yards and a couple touchdowns. Very quiet week 1 against Syracuse, but everybody on Louisville's offense had a very quiet week 1. So I think he just had 2 catches for 10 yards last week. But Marshawn Ford, he's the one receiver that has been there with Malik Cunningham his whole career, basically. I think it makes sense to get him the ball, make an effort to get him the ball more this year. And he's an even 3K. Sign me up.
Don't sign me up for the bet, because I somehow missed Marshawn Ford there. I will roster him.
Marshawn Ford's going to be probably playing on Sundays. I mean, he's a player.
I think he's definitely going to be in the NFL. So I'm going to add him too. which now gives me more money, but I'm not going to use that money because I like this roster. And
I got 500 extra bucks, but nowhere to put it. So I'm pocketing a little money myself too.
There we go. Well, let's transition. We don't have Saturday night, folks. We only have Saturday day. They're really taking their sweet old time over there at this establishment. So let's hop on into Saturday. But before I do, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Fubo TV. If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone, plus games in 4K at no extra charge. There's over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. You can watch it on all your devices. You can never miss a game or an episode of your favorite TV show because it's included with cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time. Right now, you can try Fubo TV for free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to TV.com/SGP. That's FUBO TV.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by PromoGuide.us. Yes, for all you sports bettors out there, I want to tell you about the best new way to increase your bankroll. It's called PromoGuide.us. At PromoGuide.us, you can get the biggest bonuses from all the best sports books in the country. We're talking $1,000 risk-free deposits, insane odd boosts, and most importantly, the best analytics in the business, plus tons of free picks as well. PromoGuide.us is your guide to betting smart. Once again, PromoGuide.us. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there. I know I do. And it is a game-changing product, unlike anything else in the industry. It's got this brand new over-under game, which I played in college football last weekend. A lot of fun there. You select 2 or more players based on their stat projection, and select whether you think over or under. And you can win anywhere from 2 times to 20 times the amount of money you put in. It's absolutely fantastic. So right now on your mobile phone, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/SGP, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Once again, that's promo code SGP, sleeper.com/SGP. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, let's hop into this.
Dude, this slate is wild, man. There's so many attractive quarterback options, running back. I mean, there's so many players I like. I'm gonna have quite a few lineups because obviously I couldn't all fit them into one lineup. But I thought it's going to be a very interesting slate because a lot of high scoring games in the day slate. I think it's going to be pretty wild, and you're going to see some high DFS point totals as well.
Yeah, this was I think the one that all year so far, this is the one that jumped out to me of like there's so much indifference, I should say.
Yeah, let's just talk quarterbacks real quick.
Yeah.
Like Bryce Young, I mean, he's 10.2K. Can you spend that much? I mean, he's going to kill it.
No, I cannot, because even though I know Texas's defense was awful last year, and I don't know that they fixed it that fast.
Yeah,
but why do that when you can probably get the same amount of points?
Yeah, through maybe Sam Hartman at 8K.
I didn't roster Sam, but I think he could be a very strong play. Either of those guys can get you points.
Hendon Hooker at 7.8K is probably the cheapest you'll find him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and
I didn't roster him either. Did you?
No, I did not.
Let's keep on going down this list because there's so many attractive options, and let me know if maybe Adrian Martinez, a little bit of a gamble at 6.7K.
I almost went with them because look, I do think there are some outliers right now. You look and see who's the number 1 rush defense in the country. It's the Missouri Tigers. They played the air raid though, right?
It's 1 week. You can't, talk to me once we get to like week 5 or 6, and then maybe I'll put a little bit of weight into those stats.
Well, you remember what their weakness was last season. It was their run.
Definitely.
So I took a strong and serious look at rostering Adrian Martinez. I didn't because I saw better potential out there, I thought, but
let me ask this. So he's 6.7K. Do you have anybody more expensive than that?
6.7, I do.
Oh, I'm curious as to who it is.
I went with Keaton Slovis. Tennessee's defense. Look, it's Ball State, but I still saw Ball State be able to move the ball a little bit there. And I can tell you this, I did not see everyone said this offseason that Narduzzi's going back to ground and pound. That was not the case.
Yeah.
Keaton Slovis threw for over 300 yards, and they committed to passing the ball a lot more than they committed to rushing the ball. So going up against the Tennessee defense that was awful last year, and I think, you see that first game against Ball State, I'm not buying in. I think Pitt's going to be able to move the ball all over Tennessee. So at 6,800, I went with Keaton Slovis.
And one thing to add there, that is the highest over-under in the whole slate, sitting at 67. So there's going to be a lot of offense in that game. I didn't go Slovis, but I understand the play. I just think with so many different options here, I think a lot of people are going to have different players because there's not like any glaring choices, especially at quarterback. But keeping on moving down that list, Taylor Van Dyke, 6.4K. That's crazy. I didn't roster him either, though. I won $100 cheaper for my guy, my most expensive quarterback, Brennan Armstrong. Dude, I mean, why is he 6.3K? There was games last year twice where he was more than 10K. I mean, this is crazy. The cheapest he was last year was 8.4K, and now he's 6.5K. Last year in the same game, Virginia versus Illinois at UVA, he threw for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I do think Illinois' defense is better, though, because they had a new DC that was implementing his defense. That was only week 2. I think this year it is going to be tougher for him, but I still think he's going to get his because I don't know what this guy did in another life, perhaps. I honestly, it is mind-numbing to me that this guy gets no national attention.
Yeah.
Like it is. I don't understand. I don't think I've ever seen a situation like this before in college football from a Power 5 point of view. Okay. Yes, maybe you can bring up times like I thought, David Carr was really good at Fresno or something where I thought, man, they just don't know about this guy. But I do not understand this. Like I truly do. I watched the game last week against Richmond, and I get it. It was just Richmond, but Richmond's a solid FCS, and he looked like he didn't miss a beat.
6.3K. It's crazy he's priced that low. You didn't roster him, though?
I did not. Just because I thought that maybe Ryan Walters, who I think is a very good defensive coordinator, might have some creative ways. I do think the strength of that Illinois team is their defense. So I thought it's a home crowd. One thing I will say about the Illini fans is they seem like they actually show up despite how despicable that offense and that program's been over the years. So I just thought, it's on the road. Even though I ended up taking a road quarterback, I went with one that I trusted against a defense that throughout the years has been terrible. So
for even less money?
No, I went with 6,500.
Okay. Who you got?
I went with Clayton Tune.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with Clayton Tune in that UTSA game. He really willed his team back. Now I know you look at the stat line and say, hey, he only threw for 206 yards against a strong UTSA defense, but he played turnover-free football. He passed for 3 touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing. And also had a rushing touchdown as well. So I think Texas Tech is going to be moving this football. I know Tyler Shucks out. Donovan Smith, it's not big of a drop-off. There was a close battle. And I do think Kitley, the way that they play, the way they're so aggressive offensively, I think will create a lot of points. And I actually do think Texas Tech will win this game. One angle I like about this is the potential game script of Houston having to battle back. So I went with Clayton Tune at 6,500.
I like it. And they're talking about a game that also has a pretty high total of 63. So that makes a lot of sense. But I went even cheaper. I went with my guy. I've been singing his praises. I might be the only one. But Vanderbilt Mike Wright for 5.4K. I know the level of competition so far has not been great with Hawaii and Elon. But in 2 games, he has thrown for 6 touchdowns, and he's ran for 4 touchdowns. He has like 250, maybe over 250 rushing yards, over, I think, 400 passing yards. This dude is he's coming on to the scene here. And I know Wake Forest might be better defensively this year, but they were in the 100s last year. So even better still makes them maybe average. And I think there's going to be some points in this game. I think you got to get a couple guys in the Vandy Wake Forest matchup. So I'm going to go cheap here with Mike Wright.
Interesting. Living a little dangerously, in my opinion.
Very true. It's boom or bust.
My thing is this. I think Elon is better than Hawaii, but I think Elon is still not a good FCS team.
Yeah.
So I think it's so unproven right now. Like
I just think with Wright, though, with his rushing abilities, provides a pretty safe floor.
I agree, but I also think like if you pull up some of those stat lines from the SEC games, now obviously I know Wake Forest's defense probably not as good. Well, I don't know. I would say Wake Forest defense probably better than Missouri's last year, but my point is that I do think Brad Lambert will be able to dial up a good defense. I think he's going to struggle throwing the ball, but we'll see. I think running the ball, maybe he'll get his, but maybe Vandy's better than what I think. But I people don't realize Elon was at the 1 yard line about to score. That game was closer than I think people realize.
I don't care if they get blown out. I just think there's going to be offense in this game. I'm trying to find the game here to find that team total, or to find the game over under. That's at 65.5. So that is tied for the second highest over under total. Tied with Alabama, with the number one being that Pittsburgh Tennessee game.
No, there we go. Well,
one more quarterback to mention. No love for Cameron Ward at only 4.9K. That's
no,
just
because Jim Leonard's had the number one defense and number two defense over the past 2 years. Yeah. It's on the road in Madison. If it was in Pullman, I would maybe consider it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I still
couldn't do it either.
Dangerous game for Wisconsin though, because I was not super impressed by Wisconsin against a pretty bad FCS in Illinois State. I locked that game, so I was paying key. Like, I really watched a lot of that game more than any human should, and it took them a very long time to pull away. And I think they're offensively challenged. So you let Cameron Ward, if he can play, which is the big question, is can he play turnover-free football? If you can just hang around, I don't know. But
you do have a starting quarterback under 5K on a pass-happy offense. But I agree. I mean, the matchup isn't right. It would be a big-time gamble to go with Ward. But I just think we should throw him out there because I think moving forward, people might want to remember that name because, look, he's dirt cheap, and I think he's going to put up some numbers this year for Wazoo.
Yeah, all right. Running back. I only went with 2 running backs on this shit.
Wow, you got a lot of receivers, huh?
Yeah.
I got 3.
Okay.
A lot of attractive running backs, too. And for me, that'll start with our guy, Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State, 7.6K.
You're making me think that I should go back and get him.
Oh, you made my point earlier with that Missouri defense struggling against the run. I think this game's going to be high scoring also. I think it's going to be crazy back and forth. I think Deuce Vaughn could have a monster game. He has 7 straight games over 100 yards. I'd say make it 8.
You just talked me into it. I think you just talked me into it, man. Okay, well, I don't know. Okay.
Who are you taking out?
I would take out Cedric Tillman for Tennessee at 7,300.
Tillman's a monster too, and he should have a big game, but running back's a little bit more safe.
I think you're right. I'm gonna do that. But my other running back, I'm taking a couple gambles. And just because if you base it off week 1, I was really, and I think the media over in Pennsylvania kind of got on Franklin's case about the run game supposed to be better. Well, 5-star freshman Nicholas Singleton had 10 rushes for 31 yards, but they only rushed for 98 yards combined as a team. That includes Parker Washington on like a jet sweep. Not very impressive. Well, they're playing the Ohio Bobcats, and as much as I was impressed by Ohio beating FAU, there's room to get yardage here, I think. And I think he, in front of the home crowd, he's got to make an effort to establish the run. I'm taking Nicholas Singleton, the 5-star freshman, at 6K.
The matchup makes sense. Do you think he's going to get the line share of the touches?
I do. I mean, I think Kavion Lee might get similar, but I just think Singleton's he's just better to me. Like when you see it on the screen, you're like, oh, this guy's got it, Right. So
that matchup makes sense. I think maybe the price should have been a little bit lower because there's guys in that 6K range that I like more. But at least that he'll probably have low ownership, so that might be advantageous for you.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I think a lot of it is just the pressure they put on Franklin. I think he wants to come out and say, hey, we're gonna run right through them.
Yeah.
So
I like it. But for an even 7K, you can get Wisconsin's Braylon Allen, and that guy's just a monster. It's a nice matchup. He's only 7K, which I think he's underpriced here. I think he's going to run over the Cougars of Washington State. Last week, he had 14 touches for 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. I expect him to be north of 20 carries in this game. Also over 100 yards and multiple touchdowns this week. He's in for a big game.
My thing is Dickert's a defensive coach. And one thing I think a lot of people didn't realize was that Washington State was pretty sound defensively last season. Now, they weren't like Jim Leonard sound of like, hey, a top 20 defense. But I do think this isn't the Mike Leach teams where, they had some real problems a couple years. I think they're going to make Graham Mertz throw the ball. I mean, I still think Wisconsin will get he's going to have. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a 100-yard day, maybe a score. But I don't know how many points Wisconsin can score.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, that against Illinois State, who's not a good FCS, I was sitting there like, how are they not blowing them out by more? Illinois State can't get a first down, so they have to punt the ball all the time to Wisconsin. But Wisconsin, they should. I don't know. Their offense just isn't explosive to me. But yeah, I mean, if anyone to trust on the offense, you have the guy.
Yeah, he's the one explosive guy, I'd say.
Yeah.
I still have one more running back. No, so you're done with running back, right?
No, because I switched. So I'm going with 3 running backs now. So I went with this is another little bit of a gamble here. I went to South Bend, and I went with Chris Tyree at 58K. Once again, the Notre Dame wideouts I don't think are very good. And I think their key to winning is ground and pound, especially against a brand new Sun Belt team. I know the Sun Belt could ground and pound better than the CUSA, but I have my concerns that Marshall is still a CUSA team. I'm going to take. I just wanted one of these Notre Dame backs. I'm gambling a little bit here because they did play a few of them against Ohio State, but the guy with the biggest yards per rush was Chris Tyree. I think he's going to get the start, so I'm going with Chris Tyree.
It makes sense. He's a veteran of the backfield, and the matchup is definitely right. I'm glad you brought up this game because I didn't roster any of them in this lineup, but in one lineup, I am going to have Aldrick Estime, if I'm pronouncing that right, the other Notre Dame running back. He's only 3.8K. He got more touches, and he got the touchdown last week. And if you get a running back at 3.8K, that allows you to spend up elsewhere. So it makes sense. I'm not, even Tyree. Yeah, I think Tyree might get more touches this week, but it makes sense to get a Notre Dame running back in this matchup.
Yeah. So who's your last running back then?
Dude, every week. I'll continue to draft him every week if he keeps on being underpriced by DraftKings. And that is Chase Brown, Illinois, 6.4K only, playing UVA. You know how bad UVA's run defense was last year? I mean, last week he was under 6K. And what did he do? 199 yards versus Indiana. Surprisingly, didn't find the end zone that game. But still, I mean, dude, he's a must roster if they keep on pricing him.
Yeah,
below.
No, I agree. You may make me think about that. I'm not going to switch up on this one, but I do.
Like if you have any extra money and you can do 6.4K for Chase Brown over Singleton for 6K, I think it's.
Well, I don't have extra money because I added
Deuce.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn. But yeah, that is a great play. I advise people, if you're turning in multiple lineups, turn one in with that because Virginia's defense still didn't look very good against the Richmond Spiders. Now, the only thing you could probably say about that is Richmond is better at the quarterback and wide receiver spot than Illinois.
Sad to say, but true.
I really believe that.
Actually, Illinois has a really good receiver. Isaiah Williams, is that his name?
Yeah,
but I just think they're
Ferris had 100 catches in the FCS. Watch out.
Yeah,
I mean, I think, and then Reese Udinsky is better than Tommy DeVito. I don't care what anyone tells me there. I would rather have the quarterback situation in at Richmond. But yeah, I still think he'll get his though. Virginia's defense looked like shit.
He always gets his.
Yeah. Yeah, and Illinois actually is a defensive coach team. The head coach,
Yeah.
Tom Allen's a defensive guy.
Yep.
Even Craig Bowl, former defensive back for Tom Osborne at Wyoming. So if anything, Tony, they're playing a team that hasn't, the point of emphasis probably won't be the defense. All right, well, let's go over and talk wide receivers. But before we do, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Run Your Pool. Run Your Pool is the home of competition, bringing sports fans and their social circles together to compete, connect, and make every game matter more. Run Your Pool offers every game you could think of: pickup, Survivor, fantasy pool. I mean, just fantastic stuff. And we've teamed up with Run Your Pool to host our own SGPN NFL Survivor contest. Yes, hop in now to reserve your spot. $500 cash plus $250 in the gift card to the SGPN store. All that goes to the winner. Sign up today at play.runyourpool.com/SGP. That's play.runyourpool.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by Odds Trader. Odds Trader is a place to compare odds from all the major sports books. You can also compare the different sign-up codes and promo codes from sportsbook to sportsbook to ensure that you get the best deal possible. The app also provides player stats, key game stats, injury reports, projected game day weather for bettors who make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker, so it keeps you organized on your betting activity. That's what I like about it. Go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. OddsTrader, the number one site for all your game day bets, people. We're also brought to you by Sling. College football season, which means you need the unbeatable coverage of Sling TV starting at $35 a month. Sling has all the big games on the biggest channels like ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, SEC Network, ACC Network, Fox, and the Big Ten Network, all for the best price. You can stream it at any device, record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. You could pause or change your service at any time. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the live TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. All right. I am excited.
Wide receivers. We each have 3, right?
Yes. We each have 3.
Who's your top dog?
My top dog is look, I wanted to get some Sam Hartman action, but I said, you know what? Coming off of some blood clots, maybe they'll go light on him.
Yeah.
I actually expect Wake Forest to kick the shit out of Vanderbilt. I don't think Vanderbilt has the offense to keep up with this team.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Mike Wright still might get his points, but I'm saying, like, Wake Forest is a factory. Like, this offense is going to put up a 50 burger on Vanderbilt. I would be shocked if they didn't. So, I went with Old Faithful, A.T. Perry. I think with you know, this, I just want pieces of this offense against Vandy's defense. So, A.T. Perry, 6,900. Sign me up.
I like it. I like the play, especially with him having a quiet week 1. His guy is back at quarterback. Hartman's favorite target from a year ago. A.T. Perry crushed it last year. I mean, he had over 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. So he could have a big, big day. But I went with the guy $300 more expensive, and I think he's one of the most electric receivers in the nation. That is Texas A&M's Ainias Smith. 6 for 164 and 2 touchdowns last week. They're playing App State. You saw UNC carve up that App State secondary. Even with average quarterback play, I mean, they're going to get Ainias Smith the ball because he is a threat to take it to the house every time he touches it.
Yeah, I mean, my problem is Jimbo Fisher, in my opinion, if I was the head coach of Texas A&M, I would stretch the field more with that talent. They have a talent edge in all those matchups, and I really think he does I really think he's not a great coach. I mean, I don't mind the guy as a person, but I'm just saying, like, he does not utilize his talent well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously that guy's a beast, so I could totally see him getting his, regardless of what Jimbo Fisher does. My second highest price receiver, I'm taking you back to good old Nashville. I'm going with Taylor Morin. You know he's my guy.
Right? Load up on your deeks.
He's underpriced. He had 5 for 74 and a score and didn't even play, I feel like, in the second half against VMI. So give me Taylor Morin, 5,900.
All right, I sense our side bet here. I'm surprised you didn't stack Nathaniel Tank Dell for Houston. Dude, I don't know what happened. He scored 2 touchdowns last week, and his price dropped 1.8K. Doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe most of College Football America doesn't know about Tank Dell, but the guy's a beast. He's a monster, and I think he's in store for another big day. He only had 5 for 50 and 2 touchdowns last week. I think he's going to have more catches, more yards, and also find the end zone at least once this week.
So our side bet is Morin and Dell.
Good with me. They're only priced $100 apart.
Let's go. Let's
do it, man.
And look, so wait, you have one more wideout, right?
I do.
I have one more wideout as well, and mine is it's interesting. I'm not ready to do the side bet there. We're gonna do Morin and Dell, but I am gonna take you to Lubbock, Texas, where the USC transfer Joseph Manjack.
Oh yeah,
great name.
Had a nice catch week 1 too.
Yeah, and 3 for 42. I also thought he got a decent amount. I watched that UTSA game. He got a decent amount of targets. Him and Dell, to tell you the truth. So I think he'll become more and more a factor in this offense. This is his first game coming over from USC. So at just 4,200, going up against that Red Raider defense, give me Joseph Manjack. Great name. Sounds like a porn actor. You know what I mean? Like just absolutely great.
I think Manjack sounds like a heavy metal band. All right.
Who's your last?
My last guy's $100 cheaper. I'm going to take you to Fayetteville, Arkansas. The wide receiver turned tight end. So he kind of plays a hybrid role here. Trey Knox. Look, last week, 6 for 75 and 2 touchdowns. I know that's not going to happen every week, but obviously he's a point of emphasis on the Arkansas in their passing game. And that was up against a very good Cincinnati defense. So that's enough for me to say, yeah, this guy's for real, and he's dirt cheap. Give me Trey Knox.
I like it. I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. All right, so let's do this.
Let's do it,
folks. Subscribe. We do this every week. So check out our DFS shows. Subscribe to the College Football Experience. Also, remember, subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. Previews are already happening. Season's tipping off November 6th. So what are you doing, folks? Get in. Subscribe to both those. We come together as one on YouTube at the College Experience. So youtube.com/the College Experience. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. We do shows on there all the time. It's broke down all 32 NFL teams. Subscribe to that. Check out the NFL Gambling Podcast with that season kicking off. Check out the MLB Gambling Podcast with the playoff race heating up over there in the MLB. And the CFL Gambling Podcast. That season's going on too. I love for the Canadian, right? Check out all that stuff. Get the SGPN app. It's free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. If you can go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review, we'd certainly appreciate it. And if you do that, take a screenshot of your review and find us on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Show us that. And we'll get you into a fixed raffle where you will win some gear. So do that at TCE on SGPN. And NC Nick's on Twitter at NC_NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. We are the College Football Experience. Also, Discord. It's one of my favorite places to just go if there's a game on. We're talking this. I cannot recommend enough. Doesn't matter whatever sport. It could be tennis. It could be soccer, NFL, college football. We have little channels for each one. So check out the Discord channel, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Alrighty, folks. This is the College Football Experience Week 2 DFS show. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here.
Summertime is maybe good.